So bad news for Joe Biden tonight. You may remember that Biden was a big backer of the Violence Against Women Act. Biden told us he was doing this to protect women. But now we learn that it's an act of hostility against women to acknowledge that women exist. It's deep sexism. The word women is itself an offense against women, assuming women is an actual category. We just learned that. Over the weekend, Democrats voted to ban gendered language in House rules. And that means no more terms like father or mother, just in case you're wondering where they stand on the family. That also means terms like women and men are out. That's where they are on biology. And for good measure, brother and sister and first cousin are also banned. On Sunday, Democrats celebrated the move using the handful of words they have left us in the English language.
I think that the rules should reflect our values as an institution that is the most inclusive as possible, that reflects the gorgeous mosaic in every possible way of the American people.
It's inclusive, and we're going to show you that by excluding entire words, in fact, ancient categories of the human experience from our language. By excluding, we will include. Got that? That's the gorgeous mosaic they describe. Of course, that mosaic does not include Nancy Pelosi's own Twitter bio, in which she describes herself as, quote, a mother, grandmother, and dark chocolate connoisseur. Dark chocolate connoisseur is the only term still allowed. Hard to imagine a weirder set of words strung together than those, all in one place. But what's interesting is that almost everybody now sitting in the House of Representatives is violating these new rules, and no one more flagrantly than a member of Congress and part-time preacher called Emmanuel Cleaver. He did it just yesterday when he led the House in prayer. Watch.
Peace even in this chamber, now and evermore. We ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths. A man and a woman.
Amen and a woman. So if you thought amen was an ancient affirmation that had nothing at all to do with biological sex, stand corrected. How does this empower women exactly? That's a question that Tulsi Gabbard, who is a former congresswoman from Hawaii, a Democrat, has been pondering. She introduced a bill last year to stop biological males from participating in women's sports. That bill is expected to be introduced later this month. And we said former, we didn't mean it because until January 20th, she still serves. And we're thankful for that. Congresswoman, thanks for joining us tonight. So how does it
Thank you, Tucker.
empower women to ban the acknowledgement that women exist?
It absolutely does the very opposite of that. And it's the height of hypocrisy for people who claim to be the champions of rights for women to deny the very biological existence of women. And this recent rule change that the House just actually voted and passed on today that you were talking about, removing references to, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters from congressional rules and administration, it's mind-blowing because it shows just how out of touch with reality and the struggles of everyday Americans people in Congress are, but also it shows that, their first act as this new Congress could have been to make sure that elderly Americans are able to get the COVID vaccine now alongside frontline healthcare workers, elderly Americans who have the highest mortality rates from this virus. But instead of doing something that could actually help save people's lives, they're choosing instead to say, well, you can't say mother or father in any of this congressional language. It's astounding.
It's confusing, too, because the very people who claim to celebrate diversity, differences, and differences are what make the world interesting and worth living in my opinion, are the same ones trying to impose by force this creepy corporate sameness where we're all sort of widgets in a bin waiting for assembly. Like, do they really think there aren't differences between the sexes? Honestly, sincere question.
I don't know how to answer or explain what they think. And this is why Congressman Markwayne Mullin and I, we introduced my legislation, the Protect Women's Sports Act that you briefly mentioned, out of a recognition that this legislation is actually necessary. When you look at why Title IX was created, it was created out of this recognition that there is a biological distinction between men and women and boys and girls. And it recognized that because of that, there needs to be a level playing field for girls and women to be able to compete and play in sports. Now, the reason why our bill is necessary to strengthen and clarify and uphold Title IX is because of the things that you're talking about, because there are people who are trying to undermine the very place by denying my existence, denying the existence of biological women. It defies common sense. It defies basic established science. It just doesn't make any sense.
No wonder they called you a Russian spy. It was dangerous having you in the Democratic Party. I'm sorry you're leaving. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.